This video is intended to provide insight regarding the use of screen magnification with hover accessible content and click accessible content. We are on the Loudoun County Public Schools home website. We are going to take a look at screen magnification and how that interacts a little bit with some hover accessible content, a couple different ways, and some click accessible content. I'm using a Lenovo ThinkPad, and that is the Windows laptop that is distributed to most LCPS teachers and administrators. When I engage my magnification app, I get a magnification window that follows my cursor. You can see how it moves all over the screen wherever my cursor goes. There is a default 200% magnification. I can increase that or decrease that as I see fit. So this magnification tool looks different than what the students use on their Chromebooks. But we need to use this in the video because this is what you will be using as an educator when you're evaluating materials and how it interacts with screen magnification. So we can't use a Chromebook to show you how you will actually be interacting with this magnification tool. So I'm going to start off with some hover accessible content. When I move my magnification window down, I get Discover LCPS. I get that option, and when I hover over it, I can see that the whole screen, almost all of the screen, has turned white. So I want to mention, if I'm the screen magnification user, my eyes are probably focused in that window. So if something doesn't change when I hover over it and I don't see it, then I might not know it's there. But in this case, this seems pretty accessible because most of the screen turned white, which tells me that I might need to go down there to find out some other information. What I get is a pull-down menu of some options. One of the great things about this particular hover accessible content, the way that it's displayed, is that when I move my cursor off of the word Discover LCPS, the pull-down menu stays in place. That's not always the case with some hover accessible content. So this is good when it comes to accessibility. I can also click on that option. So this is an example of material that is hover accessible and click accessible. So when I clicked on it, it took me to a different part of the web page, and I have similar information and options down or over on the left side of the screen. Now these items are not hover accessible, which is perfectly fine because the way that we access most information digitally is by clicking on it, and it takes us to another part of the web page where I access that information. Now this I would consider really equitable because the non-screen magnification user is accessing this information the exact same way that I am, and there don't seem to be any problems that arise because I've engaged a screen magnification tool. And we're going to a different website that has a lot of hover accessible content. So I'm going to a Wikipedia page. I've just chosen United States. So when I'm scrolling through here, I'm seeing a lot of blue highlighted words, which indicates that there's probably a link, or if I hover over that word, there's more information to be found. So we're going down here to this word Washington, D.C. So inside of my magnification window, I see the bottom right corner of this pop-up window. And that is displayed inside of my magnification window, which is another good accessibility thing about this website, because now it tells me, oh, there's more information that I need to go up and access. The problem is when I move my cursor off of that word, the pop-up window goes away. If I move off to the side just a little bit, or if I pause when I move off of the word Washington, D.C., that that information disappears. So I would say that is not accessible to me. I have found through trying a couple different ways, if I go right to the middle of this word and I move my cursor fairly quickly, I don't know if you can see that, I'm moving it pretty quickly, then that information stays in place and I can go access it. But if I get off to the side a little bit or I pause it all, not good. So I can click on this, but that takes me to the Washington, D.C. Wikipedia page, which depending on what I'm trying to do with this information, I might not want to do that. I might want to stay on this page and just access this brief overview. But it's kind of difficult for me. And especially if I haven't been to this website before and haven't practiced with it, I might not know that if I can actually see that information or not. So my recommendation for this, for the educator who's evaluating this as an educational material and whether they want to include it as information they'd like to represent for this content or not, I would say you don't need to throw this out and eliminate it from your lesson. I would say that it might be a good idea to provide other flexible options. And in those flexible options, we want to provide exactly what it is, flexibility for people to choose whether they use hover accessible content or more click accessible content. And if those other options include hover accessible content, I would want to make sure that I checked it to make sure that the indications were displayed inside of my magnification window and that it was easily accessed when I moved my cursor. I would like to add that Wikipedia does offer an option to basically turn off the pop-up windows that display when we hover over the blue highlighted words. And if that's the case with Wikipedia, there are probably other websites that offer a similar option. If I go to this gear icon in the pop-up window, I deselect page previews, click save, and done. Now when I hover, I don't get that pop-up window, and then I can scroll. If I want to turn it back on, I can scroll all the way down to the bottom, look over to the right, edit preview settings, select page previews, click save, and now I have my pop-up window back. I would say that if we do include a similar web page as this, we would need to check the availability to deselect the pop-ups and let the students know that that is an option in case they would like to take advantage of that.